your man, Louie T. Welcome to Monday Night Football Overtime. Bills, Patriots. Well, that was easy. I'm just going to say this one time and one time only. AFC, you've been warned. Okay? Been talking about this Bills team all season long. Been talking about Josh Allen should be a bigger name in the MVP conversation. He's not going to win. Not going to beat out Mahomes. Not going to beat out Rodgers. I don't care. I just need his name to be mentioned when you have this conversation about MVP candidates. I just need his name to be mentioned so you know what this man is out here doing. He's not going to win, and I don't expect him to. I just want the respect to be given. That's it. That's all I yearn for. I'm not asking for much. This was an ass thrashing throughout, even down to the fake punt early in the game, when the Patriots thought they had a chance. This was fun. And I'm not a Bills fan, but this was years of dominance. Years. And this could have been worse. It should have been worse. Honestly speaking, if you're a Bills fan, you wanted to run this thing up to 50-9. No need for that. You got bigger fish to fry. These guys, they're old news. Okay? Just make sure that they don't have a winning record for the first time in what seems like forever. Just do that. We don't need to embarrass them. 38-9 is good enough. But I want to also state this because I got some conversations to have about New England. I got conversations that I want to have about this Buffalo Bills team. But obviously, I want to start with the winners. To the victors, go the spoils. And if you weren't a Bills believer a month ago, after 4 straight primetime performances by these Bills. That's right, 4 straight times the Bills have been on primetime television. You might not have known who the hell they were. You might not have known what Josh Allen was doing. You might not know who Devin Singletary is. You may not know who the rookie Moss is. You may not know what they've got going on at the tight end position. Who do they have at receiver other than Stephon Diggs? If you didn't know, a wise man once told me, dun, 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 dun. Oh, you didn't know? Dun, 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 dun. Your ass better call somebody. 4 straight primetime games. Murdered the Steelers. And it wasn't like pop, pop. Oh, man, the Steelers dead. It was more like 20 stab wounds. They bled out. Either way, they were dead. Got those guys. Check. All right, what about the 49ers on Monday Night Football? That might be a toughie. 49ers playing some good football. Oh, don't worry. Josh will put 2 in their dome. Yep, took them out back. Pop, pop. See you later, San Francisco. Your season's done, by the way. Let's go ahead and put that to rest. Put those boys down. Nice, quick, and easy. Okay? After that, hey, Denver. Denver playing some good defense. Hey, look out. Denver just had a come-from-behind victory over Carolina on the road. Drew Lock, 4 touchdown passes. Look out for the Broncos. Hey, relax. How about 48 for those boys? That's dead. Let's go ahead and end that. All right. Well, the big bad Patriots. Look, they only beat them by a field goal the last time. Maybe, just maybe, there's still some nightmares of the big bad boogeyman coming to get you. What do you say? Nah. Those days are over, man. It's a new day. Where's the Staples button? Somebody get me a damn Staples button, because that shit that we just watched, that was easy. Let me hit the Staples button. 38-9. So in case you didn't know what the Buffalo Bills have been doing this season, now you know. You've been properly informed 4 straight weeks on primetime television. Sunday, Monday, Saturday, and Monday again. Just in case you weren't sure, now you know. So if you want to ask me, and I get this question all the time, who do you think can beat Kansas City? Well, you just watched the team that can beat Kansas City. Did you hear Steve Levy? Man, that drive looked like the Chiefs. You're damn right it did. Because they got a quarterback that can run around with a cannon like Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying he's Mahomes. I'm just telling you, he's got some Mahomes-esque qualities. Okay? He's big. He's physical. He can move. and he can throw it from anywhere on the field. And he's accurate now, which is what a lot of you didn't think he could do. He's accurate now. Almost completing it at a 70% clip. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. For all you Josh Allen haters out there. Anyway, you know that's my boy. So I get a little touchy when you start talking about my boy Josh Allen. Because I've been a ride or die for Josh since day one. Anyway, they got the receivers. And again, you didn't even see Smoke. You haven't seen Smoke for about a month. They're doing all of this without John Brown. When Smoke comes back, then it's Diggs, it's Smoke, it's Beasley, it's Dawson Knox, it's the kid, the rookie out of UCF, Gabe Davis. The weapons are stupid. It's Kansas City Chiefs-esque. The only thing they're missing right now is Travis Kelce. They got the speed. They got the small, shifty guy. They got everything that the Chiefs have. They just don't have Travis Kelce. That's it. And we could argue that Diggs is better than Tyreek Hill. I know some people don't want to hear that. Numbers don't lie. People do. Numbers, they don't lie. My eyes are not deceiving me. When they made that trade, I told anybody that would listen, I take that trade 10 times out of 10. And I told you, I said, this is one of the best off seasons I've seen for trades. A lot of people told me I was crazy when I talked about the Jamal Adams deal for Seattle. I said, that's a win for Seattle. Like 2 first-round picks for a safety. You must be crazy. Oh, okay, we'll see about that. Seahawks don't know what to do with first-round picks any goddamn way. I think it's a great move by the Seahawks. Their defense doesn't work unless they've got a free safety that can make it work. Well, they have that now. Or I should say a strong safety, just a safety in general. He can rock and roll. He's more of a box guy than he is, down the field covering. Doesn't matter. It's a problem. It's what he is. DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona. Did anybody dispute that trade? That was stealing. That was the one trade that was actually a steal. They robbed the Texans blindly. And then this one here, the Vikings. And also, DeForest Buckner to Indianapolis was a massive trade for the Colts. And he's transformed that defense, helped transform that defense into one of the league's best. And they're going to make the playoffs by virtue. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers to thank. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers to thank, Indianapolis. You're going to get in now. Okay? Because now this Buffalo Bills team, believe it or not, a lot of people, well, the number 2 seed doesn't really matter. You bullshit. Number 2 seed does matter, goddammit. You know what this is. It's a stick-up. Nobody wants to go to Kansas City. It's just like in the NBA. You avoid the best teams until you can't. Because you never know. The longer they play, maybe an injury happens. Maybe somebody knocks them off and does your dirty work for them. Right? At the end of the day, you just stall and prolong the inevitable, which is you're probably going to have to go to Kansas City and win. Well, that's fine. I'd rather do that in championship weekend than have to do that in the divisional round. So, again, I'm looking to prolong the inevitable. If I'm Buffalo, I feel like I'm the second best team in this conference. I don't want to have to prove it until I get to the AFC Championship game. Maybe you win, maybe you don't, but at least I'm going to get there. And whomever tries to get there is going to have to go through me in Orchard Park. Versus you potentially having to go to Heinz Field. Why do that? So they're going to have to beat Miami, which means Indianapolis, come on. You get to come in. Come on. Come get your playoff spot, man. You deserve it. Come on. Come on in. So the team that I felt like didn't need to go all along is more likely than not going to go. And I feel bad because they deserve a chance with what they've done this season. They should be rewarded. That's how I feel. The Dolphins. Unfortunately, life's not fair, and neither is the AFC this year. They're probably going to be on the outside looking in. Probably going to be out the outside looking in. Sorry. It's just how this goes. The Colts deserve a spot. They do. We'll see what happens. Anyway, tonight was beautiful. Diggs was ridiculous. Allen was Allen. The special teams, the fake punt was extravagant. I love the fact that Belichick tried to get cute. I want to bring everybody inside and fake the punt block. And they said, okay, cool. We'll just snap it to one of the up guys. And he's left-handed, so it's a nice quick throw for him. Good luck with that one. And Saran Neal was waiting like, hey, I'm open. Hit me. Beautiful. Just beautiful. And the offense took it the rest of the way. I mean, this thing was so easy. How about that 10-play, 95-yard drive? They made that look so simple. Can it be that it was all so simple then? Can it be that it was all? Can it be that it was all? Can it be that it was all so simple then? Remember those good old days when the Patriots used to beat up on these Bills? Those days are over. Long over. We're going to talk about the Patriots here in a second because I got a lot to say about those bastards. However, I just want to reiterate. And remember, these 38 points were scored with a dropped touchdown, and they ultimately scored the touchdown. How about Lee Smith? I love me. I wanted Lee Smith in the offseason, and the Bills was like, hey, bad back. That's our blocking tight end. Lee Smith looks like an undersized offensive lineman. He's huge. Blocks his ass off. Been blocking for years. Whether it was in Oakland or with the Raiders, and then now the Bills. He would go from Buffalo to Oakland to Buffalo, back to Oakland. Now he's back in Buffalo again. I wanted me some Lee Smith. When Lee Smith's catching touchdowns, you know you getting your ass beat. And did you see John Feliciano tackle him in the end zone? They're having fun. Winning is fun. It's infectious. Those guys are enjoying themselves. Man, what a time to be alive, Buffalo Bills fans. Celebrate. You got a Super Bowl contending team. Feel damn good about what you guys are doing right now. Anyway, let's talk about New England real quick. I've been saying this for years. Years. Nobody listens when winning is taking place. That all the complaining, all the bitching, that shit gets drowned out. Nobody wants to hear about faults and defects and negativity when winning is taking place. Save that for when all of this is over with. Again, if I'm at a party and I'm having a good time, I don't want to hear about your shit. Save that for tomorrow when I'm hungover and I'm trying to recover. And maybe I don't want to hear it then either because I got this ringing headache and everything's kind of, groggy. I probably don't want to hear it then, but I'd much rather hear it then than while I'm partying. Hey. I don't want to hear that shit. I'm having a good time. Nobody wanted to hear that when I was saying, man, the Patriots, they don't draft well. At some point, this shit is going to catch up with you. When's the last time they drafted a good receiver? And I sat there and I ran off all these names. N'Keal Harry looks like he's going to join that list. And I went way back into time. But there are a bunch of Patriot receivers that come to mind, second round picks. And, they're always picking at the end of the first round. And, everybody's just you heard them making excuses. Well, it's tough when you're picking. No, nobody wants to hear that. You weren't talking about that when they were winning Super Bowls left and right and going to AFC championship games every single year and playing in the Super Bowl almost every year. You weren't talking about failed first round picks then, were you? Oh, they pick at the back end of the first round. No. The good teams find a way to get good players at the back end of the first round. That's just how it goes. Figure it out. You don't like the value that's there, trade out of the first round. Patriots have done it many a times. My problem with them isn't that they don't know what to do with their picks like Seattle in the first round. At least Seattle has some kind of strategy. Look, we just want the most picks we can get. A fifth rounder is the same as a second rounder in Seattle. They just really don't give a shit. They don't have any sense of value in Seattle. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, they all look the same in Seattle. So why not get 3 6s, 4 7s, and end up with 13 draft picks? Seattle's like, sounds good to me. I'd much rather hit on Chris Carson in the 7th round than, Rashad Penny in the first. Same, makes no difference to me. Really don't give a shit. So I don't mind the Seahawks giving up a first round pick because they don't know what to do with it. But this Patriots team, they just waste them over and over. And nobody used to say anything about all these wasted draft picks. It didn't matter. First, second, third round. All they would bring up is, the occasional Elandon Roberts. They'd bring up the Jamie Collins picks. Those types of picks. What about this guy or that guy? Yeah, but then there's for every one of those, there's 3 first and second round picks that didn't make it in New England. And those are the ones that I want to talk about. N'Keal Harry looks, and I was wrong about him. So I can't sit here and act as if I thought he was going to be trash and they made a mistake. Like how I felt like the Eagles made a mistake not taking Justin Jefferson. And it's not because I think that Jalen Reagor is trash. You made a mistake. You made a mistake. He wasn't a first round receiver. He wasn't. And you damn sure shouldn't have taken him before you took Justin Jefferson. It's another story for another day. My whole thing is, I thought N'Keal Harry would be better, but he's not. But that's been the kind of pick New England has made over the years. It just has been. And for whatever reason, they don't get it right in the draft. And that's how you end up with Gunnar Olszewski. Don't talk to me about we don't have any money. It doesn't cost you anything to draft well. So I don't want to hear the excuse of we went all in the last 5 years. I get that. No time like the present. Win while you can because nothing's guaranteed to you tomorrow. Totally understand that premise. I'd advocate for it, actually. Win now, worry about all that other shit later. However, it doesn't cost you anything to draft well. You don't have to be with Gunnar Olszewski and Damiere Byrd, who can't catch claps in a whorehouse, gets hit in the face with a beautiful double pass on the first possession of the game and drops it at the 3-yard line. When you're stuck with those kind of guys, and the best you've got is an undrafted receiver out of NC State named Jacoby Myers, you've got a problem. And some of this too, I don't want to sit here and just pretend that it's just all drafting because some of these guys are talented. I don't think you develop guys very well, either in New England. Outside of the offensive line for years with Dante Scarnecchia, I don't think you've had positional coaches that have developed talent well, which is why you always go get talent from somewhere else. Because I look at Devin Asiasi, don't tell me he can't play. Devin Asiasi can play football. And he's a rookie. And he missed some of the year with an injury, I think. And so we'll see what happens. But he's not everybody can't be super trash. You got a bunch of backs, got a bunch of running backs. You seem to get that one right. Everything else you just don't seem to be able to figure out. And for me, Belichick's always been able to identify good secondary players. That's always been his thing. And he's good for a linebacker or two. He's good for the Jamie Collins. He's good for the Dante Hightower. He's good for the Elandon Roberts. He can go find Kyle Van Noy struggling in Detroit and rescue him. He's good on the defensive side, he can identify talent. It's on the offensive side that he scares me shitless. And Brady, for years, covered up a lot of deficiencies with this roster. On both sides of the ball, just not offense. On both sides of the football. There's a reason that every time the Patriots got a receiver that was any good, they didn't draft him. They went and got Wes Welker from the Miami Dolphins. They went and got Danny Amendola from the Rams. They went and plucked guys from other teams. Julian Edelman might have been the only homegrown talent, and they lucked into Julian Edelman, honestly. He wasn't drafted. So, I said all of that to say this. We're really going to find out, Bill Belichick's legacy as a coach is cemented. Yeah, Brady deserves half of the credit for that dynasty. He damn sure does. Belichick deserves the other half. Who's going to debate that? Nobody. But, you know, there was this whole debate in the offseason, chicken or the egg debate. Is it Brady? Is it Belichick? Tampa Bay had a ton of talent before Brady got there. They just needed someone to lead them. So I don't want to make it seem like Tom Brady showed up, this Buccaneers team was destitute, they were terrible, and he just elevated them. No, they had talent. Jameis Winston was throwing 30 interceptions a season. I'm being facetious. He only did it once, but he's throwing a bunch of interceptions every year, losing them games. And his team was talented to go enough to go to the playoffs every year, but they had a quarterback problem. And they had a defensive problem too, but that's no here nor there. Bottom line is Brady just showed up on a team that was already talented, and all he had to do was beat Tom Brady, and they were going to win, and they did. So I don't want to really go crazy. Oh, Brady doesn't need Belichick. Brady's struggling in his own right this season too, by the way. And, you know, the statistics aren't going to say that he still looks good. Don't get me wrong. But there's not this great marriage between he and Bruce Arians, and even, I'll take it a step further, Byron Leftwich. Like, I think there's a little bit of a disconnect there as to how to get Brady comfortable in a rhythm and what works best for him. But they'll have to figure that out on their own. I'm not here to explain any of that stuff to them. Bottom line is, we're going to find out just how good of a team builder Bill Belichick is. A talent evaluator. Because, you know, he's running all of this shit. They don't have a real GM in New England. It's all Bill Belichick. He's running everything. So we're going to find out how good of an eye he really has for talent and building something from the ground up. Unlike past years where they got to they never had to rebuild. They just reloaded. We got Tom. We'll add a piece here. We'll add a piece there. We'll be fine. We'll get Tom that guard he needs this year. We'll draft Shaq Mason and coach him up. We'll get Tom that running back he needs to throw the football. We'll get him James White. He'll be fine. Oh, we need a little bit of help on defense. We'll go steal Stephon Gilmore from the Bills and pay him a bunch of money. Come be our number one corner. We're going to find out. They got all this money. They got all these draft picks. They're going to be drafted in the top 15 for the first time in forever. I want to see what he's going to do. Because if you waste another first round pick, now you don't have the excuse of it was 30. It was 31. It was 32. Which shouldn't be an excuse at all, honestly. There are 32 good players in every draft. You should be able to get one in the first round. So, we're going to find out a lot about Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. I surmise that they're going to be stuck in this hellhole for a pretty long time. Bill may actually turn this thing over to his son before they fix this thing. Because I don't think they can identify quarterback talent. I don't think they can identify wide receiver talent. I don't think they coach it up very well in New England. I think they're going to have issues fixing this offense. And maybe they find a quarterback they like and they get him. And maybe they turn this thing around instantaneously. Maybe it happens. I don't think so. But I'm damn sure going to be here, popcorn in hand, watching to see what the hell happens. Wouldn't it be ironic if now the teams that they used to beat up on routinely every year start to do the same to them? And now they look at the Patriots as 2 free wins every single year? That would be amazing. We might get to the point where we don't have a Sunday night or a Monday night New England Patriots game. It'll take a lot to get there. But I can tell you, if they don't fix the quarterback position, they will speed that process up. Nobody wants to watch that shit that we saw today. Nobody wants to watch that. And a lot of you haven't watched the Patriots this year. You haven't been exposed to this. But they've had some ugly ones, man. This is like the 19th time Cam Newton has been benched this year. Like, how many times can you bench the same guy? And then there's still people out there that think, oh, Cam can still play, man. I just think it's New England's talent. No. It's not just the talent around him. Cam stinks too. He can still run it. We saw that tonight. But as far as throwing is concerned, you saw his numbers. Worst touchdown to interception ratio in the entire league. That's saying a lot. Because there's a lot of bum-ass quarterbacks in this league. So, it's a lot going on in New England, man. And I'd be lying to you if I said I felt bad for him. Because I don't. I don't. A wise woman once told me all good things come to an end. Well, their dynasty is over. Now I want to see what you do. Adversity is hitting in New England. It's easy when the shit is going well to just keep the party going. Just drop a little something in there, keep the party going. Now adversity's hitting. Bill Belichick used to not give you reasons as to why shit was going wrong. We just going on to the next game. On to Cincinnati. I don't have to answer you on Bill Belichick. This year, he decided to give you a full-blown explanation. Sound like excuses to me? He's like, not excuses, bruh. Just facts. Respect. Some people have a hard time differentiating between the two. Excuses, facts, they all kind of sound the same. They're not the same. What he said was factual, but he didn't. My point is, he didn't used to do that. He didn't feel the need to explain to you. That's when you know shit is going bad. He feels the need, the pressure to explain to you why shit is going the way that it's going. I'm interested to see when this adversity hits, how Bill Belichick handles this. He didn't have to handle this for 2 decades. Now, he's got to deal with being like everybody else. Think about that. Let that sink in. He hasn't had to deal with you know what this feels like? You know the perfect analogy? Think about somebody that's a 5%er in this nation. Millions upon millions and millions of dollars. Don't have to want for anything. The trivial problems that, you know, and the mundane problems and the everyday problems that normal Americans have, they don't have because they have a lot of money. They don't have to worry about how am I going to pay my light bill this month, or who do I pay? Do I pay car insurance? Do I pay the credit card people? Do I pay the student loan people? Who do I short this month? Got to pay my rent. Somebody's got to sit out this month. I'll come back around and I'll double up on you next month. Who's going to be the odd man out this time around? Who can I get an extension from? Can I get an extension from the cable people? You don't have to worry about those problems. You got money everywhere. And then all of a sudden you wake up one morning and you're broke. And for the last 30 years, you've had money everywhere. Never had to worry about a financial problem in your life. So all those normal problems that people go through, you didn't have them. Then you wake up one morning and all your money's gone. And now you got to go out and get a regular 9 to 5. And you got to start figuring out who you're going to pay. How am I going to pay this back? Damn, do I have enough for the car note this month? I'm going to have to get an extension. That's how the Patriots are. For years, they didn't have normal NFL franchise problems. They didn't have them. They didn't have to worry about, man, do I have enough division wins to try to eke out this division? Man, the Bills or the Dolphins or the Jets are on my ass. I got to find a way to win a couple games and push them back a little bit. They didn't have to worry about normal NFL problems. Man, how are we going to squeeze this under the cap? They didn't have those problems. I got Tom Brady. I got Bill Belichick. Get out of my face. We'll figure this shit out. We'll win games. Oh, man, we lost another offensive coordinator. Oh, man, we lost another defensive. They didn't have to worry about that in New England. Now they do. Let's see how they handle it. I'm anxious to see. Should be fun. Anyway, let's get to the comment section, shall we? This Patriots offense, I really don't have much to say about the Patriots in this game. This is what we've seen from them all year long. Just like the 49ers game. When they benched Cam Newton the last time. They stink on offense. You know, I remember early in the season, I was giving all this credit to their offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels. And I said, man, he's getting really creative because there is nothing out there. And he's doing a hell of a job. All of that magic and creativity. I'll give him the double pass on the first possession. They had a plan. Let's come in with some tempo, get them tired, get them off balance, catch them sleeping early. And Damiere Byrd dropped the ball. I mean, what are you going to do, man? Kills that drive. But for the most part, it's 3rd and 5, and Cam Newton's running a speed option, and he's tossing it. It's 3rd and 3, and he's tossing a speed option to the running back out in the flats, and it's getting tackled for a 1-yard gain. Like Cam can't throw it. Only guy that can catch it is Jacoby Myers, and they're like, "What are we gonna do, man?" Their offense is so pathetic. You know, one of my favorite lines from one of my favorite movies is, "You are one pathetic loser." No offense taken. He said, "No offense, none taken." That's how I feel about the Patriots offense. Wow, you are one pathetic loser. But they were once the best winners we've ever seen. Don't you ever forget it. That's why I always got to remind you guys. And I used to always tell you this. So you're never going to see a bad guy like this again. So make sure you respect this evil empire. Because once it's gone, you're going to miss them. And trust me, you're going to miss them because there won't be another. Just like in the NBA. We'll never see a bad guy like the Golden State Warriors again. And they're not coming back. Clay Thompson may never be the same. They'll never be what they once were. And it was fun watching them do what they did and watching teams try as hard as they might and fail to beat the Golden State Warriors. No KD, no Clay. Steph's trying to do it by himself. They add Wiggins and all these other players, and it just isn't working. Kelly Oubre still getting your ass beat by 30 on Christmas Day. It's not the same. And LeBron is in L.A. and you want to see them lose. I'd much rather watch Golden State, personally. Same thing with the Patriots. I've always said every sport has a villain, and it's better when that villain is good. And right now we don't have a true villain in the NFL. The Chiefs they're going to eventually become a villain if they continue to win. People are going to get sick of them winning. They're just so lovable. How can you not love Andy Reid? Always talking about cheeseburgers. You know? Week 1, his face shield fogs up. He needs a squeegee. Like, how can you not? He's so lovable. He's Andy Reid. How can you not love Patrick Mahomes? It's going to be hard to not. They're going to end up being like the San Antonio Spurs. How can you not like them? Even though they're winning all the time and you're sick of them winning, they just do it in such a nice way. It's going to be hard to hate them. Anyway, I digress. I'm going off on a whole tangent. I'm sorry. Let's get to these comments. Got a super chat here from DMV Fan 123. Thank you for the super chat. DMV Fan 123 says, Diggs won me my fantasy chip. Down 30 points. Woo! Wow. That is amazing. But he had one of those nights. Congratulations, man. Congratulations. Got another super chat here from Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. Metaphor writes, Askins and Belichick, a match made in heaven. LOL. Maybe. I doubt that, but why not? Nobody salvages other teams' garbage quite like the New England Patriots, so why the hell not? JCam Man 99. That was awesome and at the same time so easy. How many times have I said that word tonight? Easy. Staple buttons easy even. JCam Man 99 also says the Bills need to at least win the wild card game. But the fact we will soon start to lose players, I think the time is now to win a Super Bowl. It's always the question in this league is how wide is your window of opportunity? In this league, normally that's determined by your quarterback. Your quarterback is young. He's still on his rookie deal, but that's not for long. This is year 3 of Josh Allen. You'll be looking to give him a new deal next year. So the window is pretty much now, because once you pay him that astronomical deal that he's going to command, it's going to stop you from being able to re-sign all the guys that you would like to re-sign. So Matt Milano, probably a casualty this offseason. More likely than not. Can't have him back. Love Matt Milano. I'd love to have me some Matt Milano on my team. So, you know what it is. It's a stick-up. You know what it is. So, if you want to win, the time is now. And as I mentioned earlier, no time like the present, man. Make it happen. Because nothing's guaranteed to you next year. Hank Midas. Patriots will finally experience rebuilding for the first time instead of retooling their team. Absolutely. They're going to find out the everyday struggles of all these NFL franchises that they've been able to avoid and circumvent all these years because they had TB12. Now they're going to experience what it's like to be an NFL team in the middle class or in the lower class, trying to fight your way up the hard way. You know, working 2 jobs and trying to make ends meet. We'll see if they can do it. Captain Spartan. Honestly, I would be shocked if the Patriots don't trade for Jimmy G in the offseason. I just don't see Bill having patience with a young quarterback. Go right ahead. Trade for him. Books out on Jimmy G. And I don't think he's super trash, but I don't think he is the guy that he was in New England. Like that mystique and all that shit, that aura that he had in New England, it's gone. But it'll be an upgrade over what they got right now. But as we have seen in San Francisco, Jimmy G doesn't elevate the play of others around him. So unless they plan on just absolutely stocking the cupboard full of talented skill players, they got nothing. But that's a good one, Captain Spartan. Because I just don't see Belichick having the... First of all, I don't see him having the eye to identify what a good quarterback looks like, number one. And number two, I just don't see them having the patience to develop a young guy either. Craig Smith says, if you ain't a Brian Daboll believer after tonight, Lord bless you. Dear Tom Telesco, hashtag go get Daboll. Well, somebody's going to get Brian Daboll. Whether it's the Chargers or not, I can't say. But he will not be the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills after this season. That is for sure. There are a few guys where you're like, hey, he won't be back next year. Enjoy him while you can. Like, you know, Robert Saleh in San Francisco, he won't be back next year. He'll be getting an NFL head coaching job. Brian Daboll in Buffalo, enjoy him while you can. He won't be your offensive coordinator next year. I'll even go out on a limb, and it's rare that a guy is only a coordinator for 1 year. But the coordinator in Carolina, enjoy him for 1 year because he won't be your offensive coordinator next year. I even want to say this is the year that Eric Bieniemy finally gets work, but I've been saying that for 3 years, so I'm not even gonna put that out there right now. Captain Spartan says, Bills are far and away the hottest team in the AFC right now, and they got to capitalize and go to the February Bowl this year. No guarantee they'll be this hot/good again. Again, the Bills have it clicking on all cylinders, and the defense is getting healthy at the right time. Everything is pointing in the right direction for this Buffalo Bills team. And I actually like that there isn't a first-round bye waiting for them. They don't need a week off. Go right into the playoffs, full steam ahead, and keep winning ball games. The team, my dad always told me, the team with momentum, the team that played the week before is always the scariest team. Nobody wants any parts of this Bills team right now. Nobody. Not even the Chiefs. And I'm just telling you, the Chiefs are not immortal this year. They're not. Captain Spartan says, the Patriots had that fake punt coming with no one covering the Gunners. But this was the Bills releasing all their frustrations over the years in this game. So we see this all the time in the NFL. They just didn't get back out there in time. They fake the punt block, and then they bluff it, and then they get back out. They bust their ass to get out there on the gunner. And they stayed too long, and the Bills caught them napping. Ball, instead of them snap, if they would have snapped the ball all the way to the punter and had him throw it, that defender would have got out there and hit the gunner. And no, remember, there's no pass interference on gunners if you throw them the ball. You can tackle them. There's no pass interference. A lot of people don't know that rule. So the fact that they snapped it to one of the up backs, one of the up guys, and he threw it, made it so much faster that guy couldn't get there in time. It's a genius play. Young Dex, thank you for the super chat. Greatly, not super chat. Make sure I ain't got no more though. While we talking about super chats, I do have another super chat. 2 actually. Got one from R. Smith. Thank you for the super chat, R. Smith. Greatly appreciate you. R. Smith writes, Louie, you don't play fantasy? Why? Nah, not a fantasy guy. Fantasy forces me to do something that I don't really particularly like to do. And that's root for individual players. So I'll give you an example. This is the one I always bring up. I'm a massive Washington football team fan. First of all, I'm hyper competitive. I don't like to lose at anything. I'm a sore loser. I will admit this. Have no problems doing it. I don't like to lose. Period. So if I'm playing fantasy, I'm playing to win. Because anything that I participate in, I play to win. So if you tell me that I got Miles Sanders this week in week 17 against my favorite team, Washington, and I got to have Miles Sanders. And again, I know fantasy's over. Week 16 is the last week for fantasy football. I'm no dummy. I know how these things work, but I'm just giving you an example. Week 17, my team needs this win to go to the playoffs. Miles Sanders is on my fantasy team, and I got to have it. So now I'm in this dilemma where I got to root for Miles Sanders to have a big game, but my team still win. That is absolute bullshit. And I refuse to participate in any of that chicanery. Can't do it. The Chargers are playing against my team, and I need Keenan Allen to have 3 touchdowns, but we somehow magically win the game 35-31. That's garbage. I want to beat them 35-3. I don't want Keenan Allen having 3 touchdown grabs. That's why I don't play fantasy. Because you put me in a position, and it's going to happen at some point. I don't care how you pick the players. And if you're going to win, you can't pick all your favorite team's players because a lot of those guys aren't going to get you points unless your team is the Kansas City Chiefs. And you're still not going to be able to get all those players because they're really good. Other people in your league are going to draft those guys. And at some point, you're going to be put in a position where a guy on your team is playing against your favorite team, and you're going to need that guy to show up big for you. And I just would prefer not to have that happen. I care more about my team than a fantasy team. I love the concept of fantasy football, and I think it's a great thing. It's brought a lot more people to football that don't like. I remember when I used to work the 9 to 5 gig, and I would go to work, and it'd be a bunch of these guys have no clue what the hell they were watching. And, I remember one guy says, should I start Aaron Rodgers? It's like, who? Should I start Aaron Rodgers? Or should I start Tony Romo? Wait, what? Who? Aaron Rodgers and Tony Romo? Who the hell are these guys you're talking about? But that's what fantasy football has done, is it's brought together the extreme football fan and the guy that doesn't give a shit about football and put them in one place. One common place for one goal, and that's to have their fantasy football team win. And I think it's a great thing. The more the merrier. Bring as many people to the game as you can. But I myself, I just can't do it. So I don't. But I encourage you to do it. Go have fun. You go get them, Tiger. I can't do it. So there you have it. That's why. AKA _ sassy undead clips. Thank you for the super chat. AKA _ sassy undead clips. Remember when Pats were in the Super Bowl talk? Yeah, I do. Now, I don't know about Super Bowl this year, but I remember when people, hey, don't you bet against Bill Belichick. The Patriots have won 4 out of 5, and here they come. They're 6-6. And I said, really? You really watched the Patriots this year, and you really think they're about to embark upon some kind of run? And I told everybody that would listen, this Patriots team stinks, and they're not going to win more than 8 games this season. If they get to 8. If they get to 8. But I said, they're not winning more than 8 games. Trust me. And people said, well, and I had people on this very program or on other platforms on this channel say, man, I don't know about, man, look out for the Patriots. I'm like, look out for what? I'm like, here comes the boom. Here comes the boom. Here comes the boom, yo. Here comes the boom. I'm like, yeah, there's about to be, look out. They about to hit the ground hard. Look, here comes the boom. Watch out. It's going to be a pretty loud thump. They're about to hit the ground hard. I said, did you see the teams that they beat over this stretch? The only credible team in there was Baltimore, and it was in a monsoon. I was like, nah, I'm sorry. I don't see it. Haven't won a game since they got to 6-6. 3 straight losses. Beat up the poor defenseless Chargers 45-0, and oh, here comes Belichick. Here they come. I watched that game. Cam Newton didn't even have 100 yards passing. Don't try to play me, man. Don't you lie to me, man. Don't you try. You can fool some people who go look at the box scores. 45-0. Here comes Belichick. Ah! You can't fool me. Not old Louie T over here. You can't fool me. I watched the goddamn game. Special team scored 3 touchdowns. By their damn self. You can't fool me. I know what I know. They stink. And everybody else is just finding out a little bit later than I did. That's all. Anyway. Got another super chat. The Chalk. Really appreciate you for the super chat, The Chalk. Big ups to my man, The Chalk. Thank you so much. The Chalk writes, I'm just going to give you a bit of money for a bottle. Enjoy watching. I appreciate you. Thank you. Really do appreciate you. Anyway, as I mentioned, back to the comment section. And once again, thank you for that super chat. The Chalk. Let's Let's see. Where were we? Young Dex. The Saints told Taysom he'd get a shot if Drew got hurt before he re-signed this offseason. Jameis was always designated behind Taysom since he only had a COVID-shortened offseason. I think that's in reference to me talking about Jameis and not getting an opportunity this year. That's an interesting dynamic in New Orleans. I'm fascinated by that. One, because Jameis isn't done in this league. I think he'll get another opportunity, I think. But Drew got hurt and he didn't get an opportunity. He only came in that San Francisco game when he first got injured. And, Taysom played, and he played okay. But there were some stinkers in there, It took him to I think it was the second to last game he started before he threw a touchdown pass for the first time. Like, I don't know, man. I thank you for that clarification, though. Jabril Adibi says, I can't believe how good this Bills offense is. They don't even have John Brown, and it's 30 on site. I need that Allen's versus Mahomes AFC title game. I think we're all in agreement that that's what we want. But again, we never get what we want. Meaning the Bills will probably lose to somebody that they have no business losing to along the way, and we'll end up with, Chiefs Colts, and the Chiefs will run those boys out of the building in the AFC Championship game. I don't know. We'll see. But that's what I was screaming at the beginning of this show, and I've been screaming for the last 3 weeks, is they don't even have Smoke back yet. Smoke being John Brown, for those of you not familiar with that nickname. Once he comes back, seriously. And like you said, it's 30 on site. Some people catching 40 burgers out here, man. It's nasty, man. It's dangerous out here in these streets. Gregory Lightbody says, Bills are good. Washington should hire their executive for their GM. I love their GM, Brandon Beane, and what he's done. There are a few guys that they just get it, in this league. Brandon Beane is one of them. I've talked about a bunch of different GMs that I absolutely love. And the Bills have done it the right way. And there are connections to Carolina, obviously. And so, it wouldn't be shocking if something like that did occur. But I don't know. We'll see. It sounds like Rivera is hell-bent on going outside of the organization to fill the GM void, which I think is a mistake. But we'll see what happens. Captain Spartan says, if the Patriots do get Jimmy, I won't claim the dynasty is over. It could very well be a copycat from Joe Montana to Steve Young, 49ers. I still believe in Patriots. I'm still scared. Well, you go right ahead and continue to be scared. And you have every right to feel that way, because you, as a Steelers fan, just like every team in the AFC East and every other team in the AFC who have been tormented for 2 decades by these Patriots, there's still some scar tissue there. There's still some physical and emotional scars. So I get it. But I don't have those. I'm in the NFC. And I haven't played meaningful football since the early 90s. So I personally, from the outside looking in, can tell you that you have no reason to be afraid. None whatsoever. But I can't tell you, because I didn't experience the Patriots like you did. So I can't tell you not to be, excited, and I can't tell you to be not to be afraid. But I'm telling you, you don't have to be afraid. The boogeyman isn't under the bed anymore. He's not in the closet. They're gone. Gregory Lightbody says, if Washington loses the division and gets a wide receiver in free agency and draft Devontae Smith or Kyle Pitts. Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. I don't want to lose the division, though. So we'll see how that happens. HHC Lunar says, Bills are scary. Their fan base deserves this. Yes, they do. And we've talked about that already. I talked about it after the win on Saturday last week when they clinched after beating Denver, that their fan base deserved this. I talked about it after the Sunday night game in which they beat Pittsburgh when that place would have been rocking. Could you have imagined that Sunday night game, the 11-1 Steelers coming into town against this upstart 9-3 Bills football team? Could you have imagined that game? How raucous the crowd would have been for that? It's unfortunate that they're not being able to share in this, but as we saw after they beat Denver, when they showed up back home at like 2 a.m, you saw Bills Mafia showing why they're one of the best fan bases in the NFL. So HHC Lunar says Bills could beat the Chiefs. Not saying that they will, but they could. Absolutely. They've if you're gonna play the Chiefs and you're gonna go toe to toe with them, before we even have the conversation, you've got to be able to score 30 plus. And the Bills have absolutely no problems putting up a 30 piece on anybody, including Kansas City. So they already checked that box. So I don't know if their defense is good enough or not. They're playing a lot better now, but even the Patriots did run the football on them tonight. That's still my biggest concern for this Bills football team is if you run into somebody like, if they ran into Tennessee again, and I know what happened the first time, and I'm not saying that's going to happen this time, but if Tennessee is able to sink their teeth into them and run the football, that's the thing that scares me about this Bills football team is that a team like Tennessee, because as we know, styles make fights. Tennessee gets to sick Derrick Henry on them, and he runs for two bills on them. That's how the Bills get eliminated before they get to Kansas City. Like something like that. I can see that happening. Captain Spartan says, it's crazy to think how the Bills turned this around. I still want Kevin Colbert to win GM of the year, but I wouldn't be upset if Bean won it. Him and Ballard turned around trash. That's another one of my favorite GMs, Chris Ballard in Indianapolis for the Colts. Those two guys have come in, and it seems like instantly brought in just a change in culture, winning football, good football players, etc., etc. HHC Lunar says, ever since the Hail Murray, the Bills are burning the league to the ground. And they should have won that game. Remember that Josh Allen took them down the field and found Stephon Diggs for what we thought was the game-winning touchdown. They should have won that game. They honestly should be fighting for the number 1 seed right now with the Chiefs at 13-2. But it wouldn't have mattered because the Chiefs beat them already. And if they finished with the same record, they would have won the tiebreaker. But still, it's crazy. Captain Spartan says, do you think the Patriots could possibly do a fire sale this offseason? I know Dante Hightower turned down in the past, but I wouldn't mind pursuing him again. Chase Winovich, nice too. Nah, I don't see them doing that. You have a fire sale when you're trying to burn it to the ground and start over, and you don't have any cap space, and you got some guys that have a high cap number, and if you can offload them, you do. They got plenty of cap space. They got a few guys that they trust, Hightower being one of them, Patrick Chung, another guy. Like, they're not trying to move on from the guys that they trust, that they know can run the stuff that they want to run. So I don't see them having a fire sale. Captain Spartan says, I know your answer will probably be biased, but who do you think gets paid more this offseason, Joe Thuney or Brandon Sheriff? You already know the answer to that. Joe Thuney isn't a 3-time Pro Bowl guard. 3 or 4, whatever Brandon Sheriff is on now. Joe Thuney is good. He's not Brandon Sheriff. So, yeah, I'm going to be biased on that. But I'm being biased, but at the same time, I think I'm giving you the correct answer, and I think that's Brandon Sheriff. Now, this may turn out to be a who gets paid first type of situation, or who gets paid last, rather. Because, Sheriff could go first, reset the guard market, and then Tooney could come behind him and upstage him by, $500,000. Sheriff could get a 5-year, $92 million deal, and Tooney could come behind him and get a 5-year, $92.5 million deal. I mean, we see stupid shit like that all the time in the league, just so this guy can say he's the highest paid in the league. I've always told you, the next up is the highest paid in the league. The next up is the best up. Not necessarily the best player, but the best contract. Captain Spartan says, according to ESPN, there's still 35 different wild card scenarios. Week 17 about to be late. I've never seen anything like this. In all my years of watching the NFL, this 7th wild card and in a conference with this many 11-win teams potentially, and the fact that 5 teams, had a chance to clinch playoff berths and couldn't do it last week, sets the stage for a crazy. I mean, I've never seen it where 5 different 10-win teams go into the weekend without clinching. Like this late in the season, you got 10 wins. At least 2 or 3 of these teams already clinched. And if this were a 16 playoff, they would have. A couple of them would have already clinched. But because it's 7, it's a little bit different. And I think week 17 is going to be crazy. Can't wait. JP says, Lou, it feels like the Patriots dynasty is over, and you have to wonder if this is Belichick's last hurrah in New England as well. I think he wants to prove to everybody that he can do this without Tom. So, he may go down swinging, but I don't see him quitting on this thing. I think he honestly wants to turn this over to his son if he could. And he wants to leave him in a really good spot. We'll see. Captain Spartan says, honestly, besides Dante Hightower, I can't name you any potential game-changing players they've drafted since the second Giant Super Bowl when the last of the Blue Bloods left and retired. That's because they don't. They draft solid guys. They draft Jamie Collins. They draft Elandon Roberts. They draft really solid football players. But what they do is they find guys that didn't work as former first or second round picks elsewhere. And they bring them to New England, or they sign a high-priced free agent corner, because Belichick has never won without a big-time corner. I've already laid that out, though. You start with Ty Law, then you work your way to Asante Samuel, then you go to Darrelle Revis, and then you get to Stephon Gilmore. He always has to have a corner. Always. That's the recipe. That's why in Detroit, when the bearded one got there, the first thing he wanted to do was get corners. He already had Slay, and that's why they drafted the kid out of Ohio State this year, Jeffrey Okudah. Because in their mind, we got to be able to lock it down. Well, it didn't work. But that's the Belichick way, is I want to play man-to-man, and I want to take away your best guys. I just want to negate your best guys. Aqib Talib. That's why they go out and get those guys. So, Danny Shelton comes to mind. Kyle Van Noy comes to mind. These are guys that were really good players for the Patriots that they just plucked from somewhere else. Danny Shelton, okay, in Cleveland as a first-round pick. We'll get him and we'll turn him into a stud for us. Oh, you don't know what to do with Kyle Van Noy as a second-round pick in Detroit? Bring him here. We'll take him off your hands. We know what to do with him. That's what they do. They don't draft those guys themselves. Rarely do they do that. They go pick a guy that's underperforming somewhere else, bring him to New England, and say, hey, we can fix him. He's not broken. We can fix him. Every now and again, they get it right, like they did with McCourty. Every now and again, they'll hit on one of those guys. But for the most part, they pick off other people's pieces. And they do a hell of a job doing that. Especially on the defensive side of the football. Captain Spartan says, is it possible Belichick leaves the Patriots and joins a team that already has talent, like possibly Cowboys? Just a random scenario. Nah, I don't think that's I don't think he's looking to do that. Like, Bill Belichick doesn't strike me as a guy that's looking to run and duck for cover. You know, he's not looking to run, duck, and seek cover. This is a problem he's going to try to face head on. You know? Again, his legacy, it's not on the line. But if you want there to be no doubt, like, actually think about changing the Super Bowl trophy's name, which they're not going to do. But if there was a real discussion and we wanted to make that the Belichick trophy, this is how you get them to do that. When we start having a conversation about the greatest coach of all time, if you want that conversation to start with Bill Belichick, this is your defining moment. This is going to be the lasting legacy that you leave right here. Yep, what you did with Tom Brady was phenomenal, and we may never see it again. But that was with Tom Brady. This is like the equivalent of Phil Jackson going to New York. Doesn't have Kobe, doesn't have Jordan, doesn't have Shaq, doesn't have Pippen or any of those guys that helped him win all those rings. Now you're the general manager of the New York Knicks. You're team president. You're running the show. Fix the New York Knicks. He couldn't do it. It's okay. Here you go, Bill Belichick. No Tom Brady. No easy way out. No easy quick fix. Fix the New England Patriots. Let's see, can he do it? All right. I think we about to get out of here. AKA _ sassy undead clips. Thank you for doubling up. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Greatly appreciate you. AKA _ sassy undead clips. With that said, I think we're going to get out of here. I just want to pick off a couple comments before we go. Skull Candy TV says, as a Dolphins fan, I don't like our chances against this offensive team, but the Dolphins have shown me that anything is possible. Hashtag fins up. I don't like your chances either, but that's family business. We know how that goes. So we'll see exactly what the hell happens in week 17 because we have no idea right now. We really don't. I just want to say this real quick while I got y'all out there. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also, hit that like button. It's 150 of y'all out there, and I only got 49 likes. Let's get that thing to 50, possibly 60. And if we can get it to 100, great. But the more the merrier. Hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Reese says, it just goes to show the value of the quarterback position. If you don't have one, you have nothing. It's becoming more and more true with the way the league is set up. It's a passing league. You got to be able to score offensively. If you don't have one of those guys that give you a shot, it's tough. It's not impossible, but it becomes harder when you don't have a guy. Let's see. Kevin the PRF says, scratch the top four. Bills, Chiefs, Packers, Saints. Pick your dark horse Super Bowl. Dark horse Super Bowl. In the NFC, I still like Seattle. I think their defense is starting to figure some things out now. And I still love Russell Wilson. And I still think Seattle is going to be tough to deal with come January. So that would be one. And in the AFC, I still think Tennessee is dangerous, but I don't think they're good enough defensively. Indy, if they get in, dangerous. Baltimore, if they get in, dangerous. So, and I don't know if that's much of a dark horse or not, but those are teams with enough experience good enough defenses and enough offense to really cause some problems if they get hot in the postseason. And Baltimore having to win out to get in makes them just as dangerous as anybody else in this tournament. So look out for Baltimore should they get in. And now they've got an opportunity with Baltimore with Cleveland losing, they're in now. You know, with Indy losing, they're in now. So all they got to do is win against Cincinnati. They are not going to lose that game. This will not be a repeat of 2000 and what was it, 18, when Andy Dalton completed that pass to Tyler Boyd, and the Bills got in for the first time since '99. That's not happening this time. That was 2017, because then they promptly went to Jacksonville and lost in Wild Card Weekend. So that's not happening this time. The Ravens will take care of the Bengals, I promise. Black Al B says, Aaron Rodgers laughing my ass off. I'm over here dying. That coworker didn't need to be playing fantasy football. They needed hooked on phonics. I'm just delivering. I'm just delivering the message to you of why fantasy football can be dangerous. You're putting a mobile device with a bunch of names in the hands of people who have no idea who they're looking at. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying. And I love fantasy football. For that same reason. I hate it and I love it for the same reasons. Reese says, I think Urban Meyer will be a great head coach too. This guy wins. Wherever he's been, he'll turn a program around. I don't think Urban Meyer has the physical ability to coach. He's like another Bruce Arians when he was in Arizona, where Arians' health would fail him and he just had to retire. Urban Meyer's nerves on the sidelines, his heart isn't good. He doesn't need to coach again. I mean, I used to watch this guy on the sidelines, and it'd be a late possession game, and he's over there slumped over like he's about to have a heart attack. I'm like, hey, somebody need to go check on Herb over here. Because Herb looks like he's about to have an aneurysm rupture somewhere, and he scares me. I just don't want him on the sidelines. But he seems to be a really good coach, like you said, that wins anywhere he goes. But I'd love to see him just continue to do what he's doing on Fox. And if he could get in somebody's front office, I'd be cool with that. But I don't need to see him on the sideline. It's just too much pressure for him. I don't think he can handle it. Not at this level. If he can't handle it in college, he can't handle it. And he's had to retire multiple times because of his health. I don't need him to do it at this level. Reese says, did you see Bill throw that phone? Someone was telling him, I told you should have kept Brady. I'm going to tell you what, man. He challenged that thing and somebody gave him the green light to challenge it. And when you're getting your ass beat and you just add an injury to insult, that's all that was frustration. He's just pissed off because, man, we about to get our ass run. And I just wasted a challenge. And I'm embarrassed. And this is stupid. I want to go home. Kevin the PRF says, did you see ESPN's page headline today? It referenced how Rivera has solidified his power and watched him making Danny dump his guy. No, I didn't see it at all. I didn't see that at all, but I did hear from Peter Schrager that Ron wanted to get rid of Dwayne last week when this first happened, and he got talked out of it by Doug Williams and a few others in the organization that pretty much said, hey, don't punish the other 52 guys in the locker room. You still need them, which is what I thought. But then he goes out and plays like this, and Ron's like, we don't need him. We can do this with, we can do this with Taylor Heineke. Like, we don't need him to do that shit. So, anyway. Kevin the PRF says, what happened to Belichick trading a premier guy closing in on 34 first rounder every other year to reload their draft stock? Yeah, man. He used to be playing chess when everybody else was playing checkers. But that, everybody, you can only fleece NFL teams a few times before they say, hey, wait a minute. Like, you go, hey, I'll give you Dante Hightower for a first-round pick. And you go, Dante Hightower? Wait a minute. You did that same thing to the Raiders with Richard Seymour. Hell no. I'm going to keep my first-round pick. You're trying to get me. It's like those old Looney Tune cartoons where you keep seeing a cartoon character fall for the same shit over and over again. At some point, that character is going to go, hey, wait a minute. I know what you're about to do. And then they're going to do the other thing. But you get hip to it at some point. The league's caught up with Belichick. Remember he used to fleece people for those quarterbacks, those backup quarterbacks? Like every 3 or 4 years, he pulled a wool over somebody else's eyes for Ryan Mallett or Jimmy Garoppolo or somebody out there, Matt Cassell. Remember that? Nobody's falling for that shit anymore. Obviously, he can't do it. He's looking for his own quarterback now. But he can't do that anymore. Like, there's only so many times you can get away with that before somebody says, I know what you're trying to do. And it won't work this time. Kevin the PR says, you talking about coach's health. I spent 15 years thinking Jerry Tarkanian was about to kneel over at any moment in the 90s. Boy, him and that damn towel, man. Whew. I used to feel bad for some of those towels. Tark was a hell of a coach, though. Anyway. All right. That's going to do it for me. Your man, Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me. Bills are dangerous, man. 38-9. One of the worst beatdowns the Patriots have had at the crib in quite some time. The 33-6 beatdown by the 49ers wasn't too far off. That was 27. This one's 28. So, this one's 29, actually. So the ass whoopers are getting worse. They're getting worse. Not used to seeing this, but here we are. So, but the story isn't New England and, the death of a dynasty. This is all about Buffalo and what they're doing and that they're serious. And a lot of people weren't paying attention before, but after this last month of Buffalo being on primetime television every single week, if you weren't paying attention when they were 7-3 or 8-3 or 9-3 or 10-3, 11-3, you should be paying attention now that they're 12-3. They're legit. And they're not going to go away quietly. And they've got all the offensive weaponry and just enough defense to be dangerous. I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Remember, if you haven't already done so, what are you waiting on? Subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit that like button if you haven't already done that. Again, 120 of y'all out there, only 61 likes. If you haven't hit the like button, please, bless your man. I'm begging you, okay? Anyway, that's going to do it for me tonight. I'll be back tomorrow with a podcast, the one podcast of the week. So be on the lookout for that as we will take a look at all these playoff scenarios and talk about all the things that transpired in Week 16, heading into one of the craziest Week 17s we've ever seen. Should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to chopping it up with you later on today. It's already past midnight here on the East Coast for most of you. Still not tomorrow yet, but in any event, I'm going to glide to the side, allow you to enjoy the rest of your evening as will I. Thank you for joining me on Monday Night Football Overtime for the last time this year. It's been a great year for the Overtime series, but this is the last Monday night. Thursday was last week. We got one more Sunday night overtime for the final time, and then that will be that. We will have postseason coverage as we always do here, wall to wall on the Louie T Network. But for the overtime series, Sunday Night Football will be it. So I thank you guys for all the support for the overtime series this season. It's been phenomenal. It's been a ton of fun. Can't wait to chop it up with you guys again soon. Until then, you guys take care. Have a good one. See you next time.